Welcome to My Daily Thread. It's a great little place to get a snippet of wisdom from the yoga and the meditation masters to start or to end your day. I'm Jeff Lichty. All right, friends, we're back. Welcome to the show. My Daily Thread, looking for a snippet of wisdom. Also, it's been suggested maybe a morsel of wisdom. Something to chew on, isn't it? Anyways, let's move along here. We're on chapter 2, verse 13. Here's the Sanskrit. Sati, mūle, tadvipāko, jātyāyur-bhogāḥ. Oh, yeah. I don't know. There's something. It's just Sanskrit somehow makes me smile. I don't know why. I don't have a really good reason for it. But let's go over those words for a second. Then I want to explain exactly what this sutra means. Sati means when it exists. Mūle means root. Now, those in the Ashtanga world would have heard perhaps of something called mūla bandha. That's the root lock. If you've ever been in the yoga world, they talk about how the pelvic floor and the strength from the center is the mūla bandha, the lock that's in the core or the root. Tadvipāko means to ripen or move to fruition, and we can get to that in the definition here in a minute. Jāti means birth, and then buried in this last couple words, jātyāyur-bhogāḥ, āyuḥ. You might have heard this with the term Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the science of life, or it is the study of life, or the wisdom of life. So avidyā is this idea of lifespan. And bhogāḥ, now this is an interesting word because there's yoga and there's actually bhoga. Bhoga is enjoyment or pleasure, sense gratification, material pleasure. Isn't that an interesting word? So the opposite of yoga really is bhoga. We're always going after the enjoyment, always going after the pleasures, always going after the sense gratification. So there's yogis and there's bogies. Not boogies, bogies. It's late tonight. I'm sorry. I'm getting this one out late. So if I'm not making a lot of sense, then Pete, you're going to have to correct me on it. I might have to do a repeat episode, but this one's going to get fired out to you anyways. So let's just get back to the root of all this, and that was the kleshas. Remember in chapter 2, verse 3, we defined these 5 kleshas, avidyā, asmitā, rāga, dveṣa, abhiniveśa. We talked about a lot about them. And remember, the root of all of our suffering or all of these afflictions is ignorance, and that's the root of all these kleshas. And in 2.10 and 2.11, they were talking about how if we really want to get rid of kleshas, we have to dissolve them right at their source. That's where they have to be removed. And then in 2.11, we talk about how meditation is going to weaken the kleshas. And that's really important too. Now we're back to this whole theme of karma that we started on the last couple of days. Because kleshas are the root of the suffering, what happens is as long as these kleshas exist, we continue to generate karma. And so the karma then in this 13th verse, it influences how we're reborn, it influences how long we live, and then it influences bhogāḥ. How much pleasure are you going to experience in this life? So as long as the kleshas remain, we continue to bear the fruit of all these karmas. So then that cycles right back to the meaning of klesha, which is the afflictions or the suffering, really. As long as the kleshas are there, they produce the karma, and then the karma just keeps cycling us back into the kleshas. It's the whole chicken and the egg thing again, coming back to hatch. Oh, it's late. I'm sorry, gang. I'm really sorry. And terrible jokes aside, if you're not a believer in this whole karma theory thing, which I'll be honest with you, I don't even really know if I am. I believe in cause and effect for sure, but this rebirth, reincarnation deal, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't really have an opinion except I don't know. So ultimately, it just seems to come to practicalities for me. Look at the word bhoga. Sounds great, right? Material pleasure, sense gratification, loads and loads of enjoyment. But the idea with this, eventually it has to end. And in that's the cycle of suffering. It goes back to the idea of rāga, where even in those pleasurable experiences and our attachment to those, we have an impermanence. And ultimately that in that impermanence, there's a longing or a desire for more. Leaves us back to fear of not having enough, and then ultimately back into the suffering cycle. So today we were yogi against the bogi, but ultimately it's the meditation piece that helps to start to unwind all of these things and bring us back to our senses. Ooh, that's a long week, friends. I know some of this is pretty heavy. Appreciate your patience with me, especially tonight. And have a great weekend. I know I will. Om. Peace out. All right. If you could give us a good review on your podcast provider, that would be great in the podcast world. We are appreciating you. Peace out.